This myth is something I've always wondered myself before I even looked into all of these various theories and such. The very first Pokemon game I ever played was Crystal version of the second generation. You play as Gold, or Chris if you're a girl, and have adventures all over the new region of Johto. You thwart the resurging Team Rocket and battle the Pokemon League. After defeating the champion, you get to return to Kanto region to challenge those gym leaders. When you've defeated them all, return to Pallet Town to see where it all started. Professor Oak marvels in your successes and tells you about Mount Silver, the highest point in Johto, where only the best of the best may enter. Before you journey up the mountain, stop by Red's old place and speak to his mother. She tells you she hasn't heard from her son in a long time, and there's been no indications that he's okay. She shakes these thoughts and tells herself that he's alright. Upon reaching the top of Mount Silver, you see a familiar figure standing at the summit. You cautiously approach him and talk to him. He turns around and you see the former champion, Red. He doesn't say a word, and then a battle initiates. You, the current champion, engage the greatest trainer in history in an epic clash of the Titans. Following your gruesome battle, Red, again, doesn't say a single word. Then suddenly, he disappears. You're left standing alone, and then the end credits play. No congratulations, no humbling speech, no emotion. Red simply vanishes. Why does he do this? Well, because he is a ghost. You just fought his disembodied spirit and his Pokemon who refused to abandon their master. But how did Red die, and why is he still there? After defeating his rival and being entered into the Hall of Fame, Red became power hungry and aspired to be the greatest trainer of all time. To ensure this, he ascended Mount Silver to train in solitude. He never returned to his home in Pallet, and the residents began to worry. Blue, replacing the corrupt Giovanni as the Viridian City gym leader, was often away from his post to search for his childhood companion. He knew that Red wouldn't return home unless somebody was able to defeat him, and Blue was the only one in the land who could come close to matching his power. When he received word that there was a volcanic eruption in Cinnabar, Blue, thinking Red might be there, flew to the scene to search the ruins for him and try to bring him home. Rather than finding Red, he comes across Gold. Blue felt that nobody from Johto could match the strength of a Kanto trainer and dismissed the young champion. Unable to locate Red, Blue returned to his gym in Viridian to wait for any new leads. A short time later, Gold arrives at the gym and displays all 15 badges that he's earned. Blue was still unsure if he could stand up to Red, so he accepted his challenge and was easily handled by Gold. Blue is caught by surprise and realizes that maybe this stranger from Johto could scale Mount Silver and convince Red to return, something he was never able to do. However, the winters on Mount Silver were harsh and unforgiving. Too stubborn to leave his training spot on the peak, Red and his team remained there. However, Red died one day before he could relay a message to Pallet that he needed help. Being as loyal as they were, his team stayed by his side. Red's spirit refused to leave until he could be defeated, because only then could his spirit finally rest. Being only a ghost, Red was unable to talk and could only watch as Gold's Pokemon picked off his own one by one. When his final Pokemon fainted, Red's ghost finally found peace and quietly left the mountain. I find this theory to be believable, but still easily refuted. There are several clues that point towards Red still being alive. For one, when the first generation of games came to America, Red has an SNES in his room, which coincides with the time period in which the games were released. In Gold, Silver, Crystal, there's an N64 in his room. This means that Red must have been alive at the time the N64 debuted, which is not too far from the release date of Gold and Silver versions. Secondly, Mount Silver's summit is snow-capped. If Red actually died there, his body would have still been present because a corpse cannot decay that quickly in that environment. And Red's body was never found on the summit, even if you search for a hidden item using the item finder. Nope, nothing. Thirdly, Red never spoke when he was alive in the first generation of games to begin with. We don't explicitly get confirmation that Red says a single word. What about when people ask for Red's name? One explanation is that Red is a mute and can only communicate by either using sign language or writing out his answers on paper, which would explain why it takes two full lines of dot 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 to express a simple answer. Red is using all that time to write out his responses. His Pokemon feed off his vibes to know what attack to use and so forth based on the extremely close bond that they share. Red says nothing to Gold because he no longer has a way to communicate with Gold, who we can assume does not comprehend sign language, or Red ran out of paper, or whatever. Why does Red suddenly disappear? Well, with nothing to say, Red uses an escape rope to return to the base of the mountain and goes home. With all this circumstantial evidence in mind, Pokemon myth busted.